Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey to becoming selfish as fuck. I know it sounds weird, becoming selfish, but I promise you, this is the key to manifesting the life that you desire. You have put everyone and everyone else, everything and everyone else ahead of yourself for so long. And when you start to move that energy and that focus inward, and you start to learn to love yourself, and you start to learn to live in a place of being whole and complete, that is when you start to manifest every desire that you've ever had. And what is good for you is good for the collective. And I know all of this because I have lived it. My entire life, I have been a people pleaser. I have tried to control every aspect of my life, essentially to keep myself safe. It was a learned behavior from childhood, like most of our behaviors and personality traits are from childhood. But 2 years ago, I was pregnant with my fourth son, and my water broke at 16 weeks. And very quickly, I mean, literally within a split second, obviously everything in that pregnancy changed. And thank God, last June, Bricks came home from the hospital. He did a 6-month NICU stay. He was born at 25 weeks. He did a 6-month NICU stay and came home at 6 months, and he is now 19 months, and he is thriving, and he is amazing and beautiful. But I also know, because of my selfish as fuck ways, and of course God, and of course the amazing doctors and nurses, but because of my intuition, because of my selfish as fuck ways, that baby is where he is today. But here's the thing. So he came home last June, and you would think I would have been elated, right? I was miserable. Obviously postpartum was a big issue of it. Other things were happening in my life that were just, my life I felt like was crumbling. And me being someone who tried to control everything was trying to force things back into place. And it wasn't working. So I finally came to a point where I was like, look, I have to start implementing all of these tools and techniques that I had been learning for years prior. I had become really obsessed with like spirituality and manifestation and healing and all of these things. I had been obsessed for years and years and years, but like now I was in a place I was like, fuck, I have to really start implementing these things because it's my saving grace. Like I was between a rock and a hard place, and something had to change. And I learned that it was me. I had to change. Everything in my life was a mirror unto myself and the things that I needed to change and I needed to heal. So I went on that journey, and from there came the SAFE blueprint. SAFE is an acronym for selfish as fuck energy. And it is the exact way that I have healed myself and that I have began to manifest my most fucking amazing life ever. And I want to go back to say, so the healing journey in itself, like it's ever moving. Like there's no like, oh, I'm healed, right? Like it's an ever going journey. But once you learn the tools and techniques to begin the process and to start that journey, like life changes fucking dramatically. And like I said, from there is when you start to manifest your desires. You will hear so many coaches and hear so many people say, this is what you need to do to manifest. You got to do this one thing, or this is how you attract what you did. There's no one thing. And that was my problem. For 4 years, I was looking for that one thing to change my life and to manifest all my fucking desires. There's not one thing. It's an accumulation of things, and it is doing those things consistently. I have simplified it, and that is the SAFE blueprint. And the next course in the school app here is the SAFE blueprint. I highly suggest you take the course on the Safe Blueprint, and you do all of the things in there, all of the action steps for at least a week before you move on to the other courses. Preferably I would have you do them for a month, but I know, like, if you're anything like me, you just want to keep going and keep learning and keep doing. But also, that is your ego. That is your mind telling you that there's more you need to do. If you want to achieve something, you got to keep going. If you want this, that, or the other, you got to struggle, you got to hustle, you got to move harder and stronger. And like, that is all ego. And that is not going to get you where you want to go, because chances are that's what you've been doing. You've either been doing that, or you've been completely stagnant and stuck, and nervous system completely dysregulated, and you feel like your wheels are just spinning. So you either have been at one of these two places, and my goal is to find you a simple middle ground, to give you tools and techniques that actually work, and to simplify them, because this stuff is actually very simple, and it took me a long time to realize this. But like, there are so many tools and techniques out there, and it's about finding what works best for you, and then consistently doing those things. But like, learning to live in alignment, learning to live in a place of flow, and being a magnet to those things you want. We're done chasing shit. Like, we are ready to attract shit, and I'm going to teach you how. Without going too much into what the Safe Blueprint is, I will say there are 3 core pillars in the Safe Blueprint. It is nervous system regulation, self-awareness, and rewiring the brain with repetition. I'm going to give you some simple 5 to 10 minute exercises you do a couple times a day. And like I said, do those for at least a week. And then as you, preferably a month, but as you kind of get those secure and under your belt, and you kind of can do those without thinking, then every other course in the Selfish as Fuck modules, or the Selfish as Fuck program, every other course in there is an extension off of one of those 3 pillars. Because like I said, there are numerous ways to do each one of those things. But we're going to start very basic, and I'm going to give you my favorite ones, the things that have worked for me. I believe that they will work for anybody, but then you can continue to go deeper. And if you find something that you resonate with a little bit more, then I invite you to kind of go more that route and down that rabbit hole. But the key in all of this is to keep shit fucking simple, to keep the focus on you and what resonates with you and how you feel and the energy that you are giving out, because the goal in all of this, again, is to raise your vibration. You want to meet the vibration of all of your desires, right? Everything is frequency, everything is energy, and we are going to become selfish as fuck and live in that energy of being in love with ourselves, feeling whole, feeling complete, and being in a state of happiness, because those are the vibrations that are going to meet you in, that are going to attract the manifestations to you. Okay, I will wrap up that. Every course moving forward, every like module, I try to just do a quick little video, and then I give you some PDFs to follow, whether it just be going deeper on the video. There's lots of quizzes to kind of learn to get to know yourself better, not in the Safe Blueprint, but as you go down. But I try to keep everything short and sweet, because like I said, everything's a lot fucking simpler than what your ego and what your mind is going to tell you that it is. So stick with me. I promise you, you will fucking get there. You have to be consistent. You have to keep going. Just keep going. Every day, just keep going. And there are going to be days where you feel like you can't do any of it. And on those days, which like I'll talk about in the Safe Blueprint, but on those days, just breathe. Just breathe. Like, we got this. Together, we will fucking figure this shit out. And I'm here for you, and I love you. Message me or comment down in the feed. I will constantly be in the feeds and replying and helping you every step of the way. So again, I love you so much. Start with the safe blueprint and then move forward, and let's do this shit. Hello, thank you for joining. The safe blueprint is something that I came up with actually after writing my first book. So last year, as you learned in the intro video, I really came to a point in my life where I had to kind of figure my shit out. And all of the years prior, not all of the years prior, but for like 3 or 4 years prior to last year, I had really gotten into like the spiritual community, manifestation, healing, like that whole kind of space. I had a little bit of an awakening, and I got so into everything. But my problem was I'm extremely multi-passionate. And so I would like just jump from here to here, and this teaching and this lesson and this book and this podcast and this course. And I could never like stick with one thing. Like nothing resonated with me so much to where like I just wanted to keep diving deeper in one specific framework or niche or teaching. Like I loved all of it, right? And so in that, unfortunately, I never really did the work that I needed to do, because I kept just thinking I was going to find the one thing that was really going to change my life. And I hadn't. And so then I got to the point last year where I was at such a low place, and I was like, look, I just have to do something, right? I just have to start implementing these things that I had been learning over the years prior. And so I started writing a book, which was funny because when I was little, I would always say that I wanted to write a book. I would always say, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to make my first $1 million by age 25. I have no idea why I said that or wanted to do that. And I never even knew what the hell I wanted to write a book about. Like I would just say, I'm going to write a book. And so last year when I was in this spot and I was listening to a book, as I often did, I would listen to all of my books on Audible. And I was listening to this book. I can't even remember the name of it. Infinite Receiving, maybe. I can't remember. Anyways, I only finished half the book because this is my brain. Like I'm very just like, oh, on to the next. So I'm listening to the book and I very clearly get a download from source that says you're going to write a book and it's going to be full of lessons and that's it. It's going to be full of lessons. So that was kind of the intuitive hit that I got. So I said, okay, I'm just going to start writing. So I just started writing. Anyways, long story short, I finished and I ended up with a book and it's called Look, You Want to Be Happy, 52 Weeks of Selfish as Fuck Energy. And it is essentially 52 lessons. And then I think there's over like 350 action steps you can take within the 52 weeks that will change your life. And I fully, wholeheartedly believe everything in that book. If you're interested, you can find it somewhere linked here. I don't know where I'll link it. But from there, I realized when I started writing this and I started researching more and doing all of this, I realized every teaching that I had been into over the past couple of years, every course that I had took, every podcast that I had listened to had 3 main pillars, like manifestation, neuroscience, spirituality. They all kind of are based in these 3 core pillars. And those pillars are nervous system regulation, self-awareness, and rewiring the brain with repetition. And even though you teachings, books, podcast, they may not say this is what it is, those are the main 3 things of every teaching. So I was like, okay, I want to make a framework where, and essentially that is the way I changed my life, by doing those 3 things. Even though I didn't really realize that's what I was doing, I kind of came to that conclusion after the fact. And so I was like, okay, this is actually the foundation for what the book is. This is the foundation for every course, every manifestation, every modality, everything you're ever going to read and do. Like, this is the core of it. And so, so I wanted to create a framework and a blueprint that was very simple to understand, very easy to do. Within this blueprint, it's like 5 to 15 minutes a day is how long you're going to take doing these things. And then, like I said in the intro video, once you kind of have these in your pocket and you know how to utilize them, then you can go deeper in each pillar, and you can kind of maybe find something that is resonates with you a little bit more, or just goes a little bit deeper, right? Because like nervous system regulation is a lot of meditation or breath work or EFT, which is like tapping, and you can do a hour meditation, you know what I mean? But like, if you're like me, I have 4 kids. I can't do an hour meditation every day. Okay, maybe I could get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and do an hour meditation. But I have a baby who doesn't sleep, and we're up every couple hours. Like, for me, that's just not where I'm at in my life right now. So I wanted to create something that was easy to use, quick, and something you could do every day, because that's the main thing of it. Like, you need to be consistent. You need to do this shit every day. You didn't get to where you are in life overnight, and chances are you're not going to get out of where you are overnight. You have to work to create that new destiny, but I do think it happens a lot quicker than people think. I think you really take a year and focus on your healing and yourself. And like I said, in that selfish as fuck energy, a lot can happen and a lot can change. I know it can, because it's what I've done. And I just think it's really important. So before I keep going on at this tangent, I just wanted to kind of explain really quickly where the SAFE blueprint came from, and what is the 3 core pillars, and what you'll kind of get inside of the blueprint. And like I said, I really would like you to do these steps for at least the next week before you move on to anything else in the classroom area. And this is in the school app. So I don't know, I may repost this video somewhere else. So if you're confused on what I'm talking about in the classroom, I originally made this video for the school app. So yeah, so I would like you to do this work for like a week, really like a month if you can. Okay, so that's my quick little intro for the SAFE blueprint. Like I said, it's really quick, really simple, really digestible. And the book that I wrote, I will be linked somewhere in the school app. I'll talk about it more. I'll put it in the comments or whatever, but this is really the foundation for it. So start here. I love you so much. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And I just am super happy you're here. Love you. Bye. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to try not to rock in this chair too much and be a distraction. I'm going to try to sit still, but I moved out to the sunroom. So your first core pillar is nervous system regulation. And like I said, I want to keep these really short and sweet. My guess is you know a little bit about nervous system and nervous system regulation. If you're in this space, and most people have heard of it by now, whatever. But honestly, I hadn't heard of nervous system regulation or nervous system anything until like 4 years ago when I got into this work. But I think it's come a long way. But you will not be able to co-create anything in your life until you have a regulated nervous system. You will not be able to, affirmations won't work, most nothing, shadow work, most of the shit will not work until you have a regulated nervous system. And this doesn't mean your nervous system is going to be regulated all the time. You have so many times throughout the day that you get triggered and your nervous system will start to alarm, but you have to know the tools to come back down to your parasympathetic state. So your nervous system has a parasympathetic and a sympathetic. And the para, I remember it because para starts with P, and that's when you're at peace. And the sympathetic is an S, and that's when you're stressed. And the problem is that most of us, especially I think if you're my generation, my age, I'm almost 40, but we've lived our entire lives in fight or flight and never even knew it. And chances are you will have to go down this rabbit hole, this pillar, and do a little extra work to truly heal this, and to truly get out of that fight or flight trauma response. But we're just going to touch on it here. And like I said, we're going to do this work here for like a week or so, a couple weeks, something like that. And then you can go down some of the other teachings that I have here in the app, or you can go down your, YouTube is amazing, obviously, whatever, like do your own work, do the shit. You guys do your work. Please just keep going. You're going to have days, like I said before, you're going to have days where you feel like you can't do any of it and all you can do is fucking breathe, and that's perfectly fine, but do the work. Someone said this the other day on TikTok and I thought it was so good. You need to look at life as like a pendulum swinging, right? And some days you're at the high end of the pendulum and you are just on your game. You are living your best version. You're connected to your higher self. You are living in aligned action and you are doing all the great things. And then the next day, the pendulum may swing back and you're just having one of those days where like you're just doing what you can to get by. The key in it is when you are on a backswing, realizing and noticing you are on a backswing, and don't let all of the work that you did here be ruined for the way that you react when you're here. It's like you take 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back. Like if you can realize on this backswing, it is just a bad day. It is not who you are. Oh, and I was so bad at this for so long. I would have bad days, and I would just be like, I'm just so not happy in my life. And I would speak that into existence. Like your words are so powerful. Everything is a vibration. And when you start to speak, it becomes a vibration. And when you are on that backswing and you are in a lower vibrational state, if you can just realize and observe that, okay, this is just a bad day. This is not who I am. This does not define me. I choose to still speak carefully. I choose to not make this my whole personality, right? I choose to not erase all of the work that I did here and realize that this too shall pass. So life is like a pendulum. You're going to have days where you feel like you just can't even do anything. Like you just breathe, just get through it. Just keep going. The upswing will come again, and you will, if you can learn to just get through this, your baseline will continue to move up, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck here. And if your nervous system is just constantly dysregulated, which I think a lot of us are, you're just going to stay here and you're going to continue to create or co-create the same life, the same experiences over and over and over again. So if you are truly serious about changing your life, you have to do the work. You have to get to know yourself. That's why the selfish fuck energy, the selfish fuck journey is so fucking important. Understanding who you are, your authentic code, understanding this work is so important to raising your vibration and essentially to creating the life that you deserve. There's a lady walking in the backyard. Hold on. Okay, nervous system regulation. Like I said, you're probably out of whack. You're probably stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze response, and you're not going to get anything done until you learn to regulate that. So your quick little homework step that you're going to start doing every day to begin to regulate your nervous system. Like I said, you're probably going to have to go deeper with this. I have done a couple really intense breathwork sessions, and you can go down that rabbit hole later if you want to. I'm sure I'll post more in the classroom, but that is a really good way to go deep and to start healing the trauma, because your nervous system holds so much trauma inside your body and you have to learn to release it. But for this, like I said, we're keeping it simple and short and sweet. You are going to set a timer on your phone for 3 times a day. It can be in morning, noon, and evening, anytime you want. You're going to set a timer to go off 3 times a day. When that alarm goes off, then you will set a timer on your phone for 3 to 5 minutes. I'd like to say 5 minutes. I'd like to say 10 minutes. But if you're feeling like you can only get 3 at first, then that's fine. Start with 3. And in that time, you're going to try to find a quiet, relaxing place wherever, in your car, if you're, at work, going to work in the morning, whatever, before you go to work. I really like to do this first thing in the morning. When my alarm goes off in the morning and I hit snooze, I will start regulating my nervous system. Before I even begin my day, I will start to take my deep breaths and get in a little bit of a meditation state and regulate. So 3 times a day, like I said, I really like to do it in the morning and right before bed. Those are the best times to do it because your brain waves are slowing down. And so that's when it's going to really hit better. And you're going to set your alarm for 3, 5, 10 minutes, and you're going to do your deep breathing. A lot of people don't know how to actually take a deep breath because you're stuck in fight or flight. When you take a deep breath in through your nose, fill your belly and your abdomen with air. You want your belly to start expanding with air. Do that for a count. I can't breathe. Do that for a count of 4. On your expanded belly, hold for 2. So in for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. On your release, during this nervous system regulation exercise, on your release, I want you to hum. That activates your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve helps to regulate your nervous system. So on your exhale, you will hum. So in for 4. For 6. You have to do a 4 and a 6. You don't have to do anything, but that's going to regulate it better. And then you hold that for 2. And for 4. And repeat this 3, 5 to 10 minutes. Bonus points. If you can get on your phone and YouTube 528 hertz. So the frequency of 528 is the love frequency. I believe that the vibration of love is one of the most, I don't believe, I mean, it's true. It is one of the most powerful, one of the most highest vibrational frequencies. And that's the whole point of all of this, is raising your frequency. When you raise your frequency, then you match the energy of all of your desires. So bonus points, when you're doing your breathing technique, put on your phone or YouTube or whatever in your headphones, even better, the 528 hertz. So nervous system regulation, 3 times a day, 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever you're capable of. If you want to do 30 minutes of this, more power to you. Put on a little guided meditation. Again, we're just keeping this short, simple, so you can do it each day. I don't want you to think, oh, I can only meditate. It only works if I do it for 30 minutes. I can't regulate my nervous system because I don't have enough time. BS. We're going to learn to do this shit every single day because, like I said, I have 4 kids and I only have a couple minutes in between the time that I'm going to lose my and gaining control. So that's the goal. That is the goal, to keep your cool, keep your calm, to get to a place where you stop reacting over everything and you can actually start responding from that higher consciousness, from that best version of yourself, and not how we act on the backswing of the pendulum. And we're just reactive and we're just snapping and, living from a place of a dysregulated nervous system. So hopefully all of that made sense. Set your timer 3 times a day. That is the first step in the SAFE blueprint. We will now move on to self-awareness. The second pillar in the SAFE blueprint is self-awareness. I feel like a lot of people can really get stuck in this one. So like everything else, I just want to try to keep it simple. Self-awareness is often referred to also as shadow work. And it's very important to continue with your nervous system regulation while integrating the self-awareness. That's why all of these 3 steps are really important to continue to keep kind of intertwining and figuring around all of them. Because if you get so deep in the self-awareness and the shadow work, a lot of people get stuck in the story of all of it. So that's why I say it's really important to continue to regulate your nervous system and to understand the shadow and to dive deep into the self-awareness work, but not get stuck in it, not to live in the emotion of it too long, to be able to observe everything, to be able to observe your thoughts, to be able to observe your emotions, to be able to observe how your past experiences may have worked and how they have shaped you today, but understand that doesn't have to continue to be your future. And you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of all of it. So going into this, knowing that it is okay to have the emotion. It is important to have the emotion. It is important to have self-awareness, but not to live in all of that. I read a book years ago. You'll hear me say this all the time. I read a book. I listened to a podcast, blah, 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 blah. I read a book years ago called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And it is by Mark Manson. Mark Manson? I think that's his name. It's such a good book. Highly recommend the book. Honestly, I listen to a lot of books on Audible, so I just have an Audible membership, and then you get like so many credits a month anyways, whatever. I listen to a book on Audible, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. In the book, he talks about this concept called the self-awareness onion and how there's always layers, right? There's always layers, and you just keep peeling back layers. So the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. If something is triggering you, if an outside something, person, place, thing is triggering you, it is a clue that the something inside of you needs to be worked out. And the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. So begin by asking yourself, why am I triggered? What is happening that is very surface level? What is happening that is triggering me? This person cut me off in line. My kids are doing this. My boss did whatever. Let's just name it first, right? Whatever outside source is triggering you. That's not the problem, but we think it's the problem, right? So keep it very surface level first. What is triggering me? And here's the other thing of it too. You will get so good at this and that's the whole point. That's why I tell you to work on this for a week or a month. Honestly, it's ever going, like I've talked about, but I can very quickly name my trigger and get down to like what's really going on inside of me. Whereas before, it would take me a long time to just calm my nervous system. You got to have a calm nervous system before you can really get to the root of what the fuck's happening and to like unpacking it all. So when you're starting this work, I usually tell people in the beginning, you'll want to pick a time of day or in the evening, like before you go to bed, and like work on one thing at a time. Like, okay, what is something that triggered me today? And this is going to be your homework and all of this. And I have a worksheet and like I'll show you or whatever. But pick a time of day where you're going to pick one thing in that day that triggered you, and we're going to like start the questions and start the self-awareness onion. But eventually you'll get so good at this where you can just identify it while it's happening. And that's the whole point, is to like regulate the nervous system, identify what's going on, be able to respond instead of react, understand the core root of what's happening, and how am I bringing this situation into my life? What am I doing to attract this kind of experience? What is the lesson in all of this? Because everything that is triggering you is the universe, is God, is source, trying to show you something in you that maybe needs to shift or change or heal or just even recognize, and to be able to identify that without just being triggered all the time and be able to be blaming our outside experience, blaming our environment, blaming the people. Like, eventually you'll get so good at this that you'll start attracting new experiences, new people, and ultimately a different way of life. Because again, that's what all of this work is about, is being able to attract your desires, people, place, things, experiences that are different than maybe what you're currently experiencing. So the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. Identify the trigger. Why am I so pissed off? What happened that is triggering me? And then go deeper. Yeah, but like, why am I so pissed off? No, but like, why are you being triggered? Why? Keep going. There's something deeper and deeper inside of it. So I got this worksheet from a book a couple years ago that I got, and it was so good. And it's getting to the root of your shadows. And so the first question you're going to ask yourself, you're going to set time at the end of your day, and you're going to do this worksheet every single day. You can do a couple of them, but don't live in the story of all of it too much. You don't have to go back and relive every trigger and like, what was the lesson? And I got triggered 16 times today. Now I have to go deep and figure out what the root of all of it is. No. We're not living in the story. We're not reliving the past. It's what you're doing in the present moment that's going to help you create a different future. Do not go in the past and rehash every fucking thing that's happened. Like, please. So your first page in the worksheet is going to say, what is triggering my shadow? I'm going to read what I did this particular one years ago. What is triggering my shadow? At that moment, I was being triggered because my kids were fighting. This is still a trigger that I work on. What thoughts am I having? I can't take it. They fight all the time and it makes me crazy. What emotions am I experiencing? Anger, rage, and I feel out of control. Now close your eyes and listen to your inner voice. And this is where nervous system regulation comes. You have to try to calm the nervous system and to just breathe into this exercise, because that's really going to help you identify what's really happening here. Close your eyes, listen to your inner voice. What 3 words come to mind? Write them down. They hold meaning. So for this particular one, I wrote down scared and alone. I guess I couldn't come up with a 3rd word, so I just had scared and alone. Last question. What memories or images come to mind when you focus on these words? Connect with your inner child. I wrote down, my parents fighting all the time and feeling like I can't control it. There's nothing I can do. I'm alone in my room, on edge, waiting for another fight to start, where I rush in to make sure that my mom doesn't get hurt. It makes me sad. So essentially my trigger was that my kids are fighting. Ultimately, that was so triggering for me because it reminded me of my childhood. Goodness gracious, I thought I'd put this on silent. Ultimately, it was a trigger from my childhood, which so many things are. Like, I don't know if I've talked about this yet on here, but like I know I have. Our subconscious is created from the ages of 0 to 7. That is where our core beliefs are rooted in. And when I was younger, ages 0 to 7, I lived in a very chaotic home, and my parents fought all the time. And I felt like there was nothing I could do. And I felt very unsafe, and I had no control over it. So as I got older, fighting in general, which is so crazy, fighting is so triggering for me, but also in the same sentence, it is what I do or did all the time. I fought in all of my relationships. I snapped on my children all of the time because as much as I hated it, that's what my nervous system knew. And your nervous system will always go back to what is familiar, because whatever was happening between the ages of 0 to 7, or if you had a very traumatic experience in your life, it could affect your nervous system as well. But like, that's what my nervous system knows as familiar. And so that's what I would, until I started doing this work, I would continually go back to that fight or flight, even though I know that's not where I wanted to live. You can't think yourself out of a nervous system response. Like, that's why the breathing is so important, like we talked about in the first pillar. But going back to self-awareness, in this particular one, I was being triggered because my inner child felt unsafe. And that's what a lot of our triggers really come down to. I feel unsafe when my kids fight because it reminds me of when I was a child. So that was my worksheet. And that was so eye-opening to me. Like, it really has nothing to do with my kids fighting. It really had everything to do with me feeling safe in my environment. So that's something that I'm still working on. I think that's probably a big trigger for a lot of moms and parents in general. Like, our kids are fighting, and it's just like, feels so, it feels very triggering. Anyways, so I will have this worksheet. I'm going to attach a PDF here, and I'll have this worksheet. And your goal is to just do 1 or 2 of them at night. And once you know the work and once you can do this, you're going to run through it in your head very quickly when things are happening, when you're feeling triggered. Wait, what's happening? No, but really, like, what's happening? This is feeling, got it. Okay. And just observing it and being like, okay, got it. Okay. I love you. I'm regulated. I'm good. Like, moving on. That's the goal of all of this. Simple, quick, sweet. You eventually will need to go deeper in all of this, but we want to keep it simple, sweet, and to the point. Okay, I love you. I hope that made sense. Keep going. I'm so proud of you. Let me know if you have any questions. Next pillar on the next slide will be rewiring with repetition. So, okay, I love you. Bye. Welcome back. The third and final pillar of the SAFE blueprint is rewiring with repetition. This is where things like affirmations, subliminals, things of that nature come into play. I think a lot of times people think if they just say affirmations a million times a day that they're going to be able to manifest, whatever they're trying to manifest, that the answer is affirmations. And although I do think affirmations are very important, it is also very important you understand the importance of nervous system regulation. Affirmations alone are not going to penetrate through your analytical mind unless you have a regulated nervous system. This is why things like subliminals during the nights when you sleep, if you like turn on a subliminal on your phone or whatever, they can penetrate into your subconscious brain a lot easier because when you're sleeping, your nervous system is at rest, right? So I listen to, there's a girl on YouTube, the High Frequency Guru. She has tons of subliminals. She calls them rampages. They're like repetitive, her saying things repetitively. So it's sort of like an affirmation. I love, love, love her stuff. I listen to her subliminals like almost every night. And sometimes I'll like put her rampages on when I'm getting ready in the morning. But again, it's super important to understand the importance of having a regulated nervous system in working in connection with the affirmations. And then, like I said, rewiring with repetition. Repetition and consistency is the key to all of this. Like I had said earlier, you didn't get to where you're at overnight. You're not going to get out of that situation overnight either. Some people may just naturally be better manifestors and they may be able to do this work quicker, but most of us, it's going to take a while because our limiting beliefs, like I said, your subconscious brain and your limiting beliefs were programmed from the ages of 0 to 7, and they are so strongly rooted in there. And a lot of them, we don't even realize we're playing these beliefs in our brain, which are creating the patterns that we live in, and that's where the self-awareness comes in. So doing each pillar, the importance of continually doing the work in each pillar a little bit each day. And like I said, the more you do it, the more it's going to kind of start clicking, and just you're going to understand it. It's going to become second nature. But continuing the rest of your life, honestly, to do this work and continuing to see the patterns, continuing to see the limiting beliefs that are holding you back, that are blocking you. And it's always going to be that onion layer of like one more thing, going deeper, more awareness. Oh, wait, this is another trigger. Okay, let me switch my affirmations and start saying this. Like, it's an ever-going process. So affirmations, rewiring with repetition. One thing that I started doing last year when I really started getting into this work is brushing my teeth with my left hand, my non-dominant hand, while looking at myself in the mirror, repeating an affirmation. And I think I've said this before in here, but if I haven't, I truly believe the only problem that you have in your life is rooted in self-love. So the affirmation that I constantly repeat to myself every day, all day, is I love myself. I love myself. I do this all the time, and this is going to be part of your homework for this pillar. But I started brushing my teeth with my non-dominant hand, looking at myself in the mirror, saying, I love myself. I love myself. When you do something out of the norm, when you stop living on autopilot and you take a different route to work, or you brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, or you take a walk in the morning when you normally just sit on the couch and, watch TV, whenever you do something out of autopilot, it starts to create activity in your brain, and it starts to create a new neural pathway. So you are working your subconscious mind when you are brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Then it becomes easier for the affirmation to penetrate that analytical mind. So brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, looking at yourself in the mirror, saying, I love myself. This is going to strengthen or begin to even create that neural pathway that's not created. And doing this in the morning when you brush your teeth and at night when you brush your teeth, it is life-changing. And it sounds so silly. A lot of this shit really sounds so silly, and it sounds too simple and too easy to be true. We tend to want to make things harder on ourselves, and it's not. Like, stop trying to make everything so difficult. That's your conscious brain working, telling you, your ego telling you that things have to be hard. Your subconscious brain, your parasympathetic nervous, like, those things are cool, calm, collected, and simple. So for me, brushing my teeth with a non-dominant hand, that's part of your homework too. Brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, repeating in the mirror, I love myself. I have been doing the I love myself thing for about a year now. And like I said, I think everything is rooted in self-love. I will always come back to that. But I've noticed other little things along my journey. Like, I wrote a book. I finished it like a month or two ago. And I just kept going. Like, I wasn't even like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't celebrate it. Like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, I just like keep going. And so I realized in doing a little bit of self-awareness work, like, I'm never proud of myself. Like, I've done a lot of really cool things and I should be proud of those. So I started in my teeth brushing exercise saying, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. Like, girl, you should be fucking proud of yourself. Even if you woke up and only hit snooze on your alarm one time and you're used to hitting snooze 10 times. Little things like that. Like, be proud of yourself on this whole selfish as fuck journey that we're on. Like, be fucking in love with yourself. That is the whole point of all of that. And when you can truly feel that in your body and that you truly raise your vibration into that frequency, it exudes and people are like magnetized to it. And it's not about like people being magnetized to you or like people, it's just about like the feeling that the state of being that you actually get into when you start consistently doing this work. And like I said, that's when you are on the vibration of your manifestations and things, experiences, people like are attracted to you. You're no longer chasing those things. So I already told you your one homework was to brush your teeth twice a day with your non-dominant hands, looking at yourself in the mirror, saying, I love myself. The other one is, like I said, continually repeating, I love myself. So we're going to work this into the first pillar. So you already know your homework for the first pillar is to set your timer of 3 to 5 minutes. Do your deep breathing, like get the nervous system regulated. Now we're going to incorporate the I love myself in the nervous system regulation. So you can do this a couple different ways. If you are truly having trouble calming down and like getting to that regulated state, I would suggest sticking with the 3 to 5 minutes of just focusing on the deep breathing and just and saying to yourself, breathe, like just getting into that more. You're not going to drop into full theta brainwaves, but just calming the mind and calming the nervous system. And then once you feel like you've gotten there, you're going to add in the I love you. And it is super important, I believe, to breathe when you're doing the affirmation part of it, breathing into your heart. So your first couple minutes, you're breathing into your belly. And once you kind of get into a groove of that, you're going to start breathing into your heart. Your heart has, I think it's like 40,000 neurons. So your heart and your brain are constantly communicating. And when you can learn to breathe into your heart, feel that emotion of I love myself in my heart, it is going to create those new neural pathways quicker and stronger. And so breathing that emotion into your heart, really feeling it, feeling your heart expand with love and saying, I love myself, feeling the emotion. Like if you have ever heard Joe Dispenza or follow Joe Dispenza at all, he is so big into meditation and to feeling the emotions when you meditate. And it's the same way. He talks a lot about your heart and your brain coherence, and getting these two things to connect are so powerful. Now, when I originally started kind of getting into this work a couple years ago, I realized I don't really know how to feel love, happiness, joy. Like I was stuck in such a state of numbness and depression, like survival. Like I was stuck in this state. I was like, wait a minute, how do you feel that? I don't know how to. And someone explained it to me, like the obvious. It's like when they put it this way, I was like, oh yeah, duh. Like when you're hugging your children, and like the emotion that you feel towards your children, or the emotion that you feel towards your pet when you're snuggling with your pet or your partner or your best friend or your sister, like the love, it's hard. It was hard for me to feel love towards myself. I didn't know what that looked like until someone put it in these terms, like the way that you feel about your heart or your pet, your kids, whatever, feel that in you and put that emotion into your heart. Imagine yourself hugging your child and the love that you feel for your child, and put that into your heart and feel that for yourself. Inner child work is another big thing I think that goes along with all this work. And once you have these 3 pillars down, that's something that you can go into deeper. I think that's so freaking important. I'll have other courses here in the school app here, but that's a super good way to kind of look at and start to feel love for yourself, feeling love for that inner child, that child that you were, that may have experienced trauma or whatever. Inner child work, I think, is really important. But breathing into your heart, feeling that emotion for yourself. I love myself. I love myself. So we're incorporating that at least twice a day, 5, 10, 15 minutes. I love myself. I do this all day long. Also doing this exercise when you have a negative thought in your brain. When something happens and you're feeling triggered, immediately get down into your body. We're going to immediately try to regulate that nervous system. We're going to try to do this before we start reacting and snapping out and cussing and screaming, whatever. We're going to try to drop into our body. I love myself. I love myself. And sometimes, especially like last year when I started doing this, I would be bawling my eyes out because of just whatever that was going on, and just be pissed off at the fucking world and just like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And it sounds so ridiculous, but it is so much better strengthening that neural pathway than the pathway of, fuck, I hate everybody, that my life fucking sucks. Like, that was like the other way that I wanted to go. But bringing it back down and like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. Whatever's going on outside of here, let me drop back into myself, remind myself how important I am. I love myself. This isn't the end of the world. It's just a backswing on the pendulum, and I'm not going to let it ruin all of these good things that happened yesterday, or all of this hard work that I did yesterday or the day before. You know, we're not taking 3 steps forward, or 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to keep the pendulum moving upward. So that's your homework for rewiring with repetition. You're going to add in the I love myself, I love myself, I love myself 10,000 times a day with brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Again, this stuff is so simple, and it is meant to be that way. Like I said, I have 4 kids. I don't have time to meditate for an hour. I don't have time to go to yoga every day, to do ice baths, to go on a silent retreat. Like, gosh, I would love to do those things. And eventually I will. But like, my biggest message in this whole thing is like, if you deserve to feel happy now, you deserve to feel abundant now, you deserve everything that you desire now. Like, we don't have to wait till our kids are grown, till we're retired, till we take that vacation next year, till I take the vacation in 10 years with girlfriends. Like, we don't have, yes, those things are great and they're fucking icing on the cake, but you deserve to feel joy, happiness, regulated every day. And the more you work at this, I promise you, it becomes easier. Yesterday, I was having a morning. Like, actually, it started the night before that. And really, truly, honestly, nothing was wrong. Like, it was that time of the month. I think that was my major issue. But last year, 2-3 years ago, when I would have a moment like that, I would spiral and let it take over my whole day. Let it take over numerous days, a week. Like, I would wallow in this like self, like I would just say, I'm not happy, and like I need to do this, and I'm constantly overwhelmed. My house is a mess, and there's not enough hours in the day, and I would just go and go and go and go. And it's like, again, those words are creating your life. You are speaking that bullshit continually into your life when you say things like, oh, you know, that's just my life. That's just what it is. If it's not one thing, it's another. Like, you're constantly speaking that shit into existence. And when you do this work and you can stop that thought in action, and you can say, I love myself. I love myself. Start, like I said, deepening that neural pathway instead of deepening the pathway of, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so stressed out. Yes, of course, there are those things. But we don't have to fucking say it 10,000 times a day, right? Like, so yesterday I was in this mood, and I was like, ooh, like for no reason. I could just feel the rage bubbling inside of me. And I had to go run an errand, and I had the baby in the back seat, and I'm in the front seat, just like my skin is crawling for no reason. Nothing even had happened, but I was pissed. And so I'm in the car driving, and I'm crying. I'm allowing myself to cry, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to let it out. And I'm like, as I'm driving down the road. The baby's probably like, what is wrong with this bitch? But I felt it, and I cried, and I screamed. And then I was like, you are safe. I love myself. And like, my day turned around. Where I'm being honest, like I said, it started the night before. And I did those things the night before, and I tried to like shake out the energy like I do. I try to shake out my stuck energy. And the night before, it wasn't really like working for me. Like but I would not allow myself to speak the bullshit negative out of my mouth. I wouldn't allow it. Okay, it's in my brain. You can't always control your thoughts. Just, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. I refuse to say the shit out loud. And I went to bed that night. And then, like I said, I still kind of woke up in a mood. So I kind of did it again. My day turned around. Everything was fine. Last night was amazing. Today's a beautiful day. Whereas, like I said, in the past, I would have let that ruin my entire week and I would have stewed in it and sat in the story of it. But I've been doing this work long enough now. I know this too shall pass. And I know and I truly and strongly believe in all of this work and all of these teachings and all of this stuff that I'm saying. Like, I'm living it by example. Like, I live my life this way, and that is why I feel like I can help others, because I've done it myself, right? Like, I live it. This shit is simple, guys. It is simple, but you just have to keep going. Keep going. Please keep going. I love you so much. Thank you for listening to my rant the last 20 minutes. I didn't mean to make this video that long. That is the SAFE blueprint. Your goal is to do it for at least a week before you move on to the other courses in the app. Always feel free to comment down below. I'm always going to be in there helping, like, as much as I can. I don't have the answers, obviously, to everything. I'm not a fucking guru. I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm only sharing what I have learned and what I utilize as a 39-year-old mom of 4 boys who has chosen to take control of my life, to stop living in autopilot, to stop being a people pleaser, to stop absorbing everybody else's emotions, and to start living a selfish as fuck lifestyle, because I know what is good for me is good for the collective, and what is good for me is best for my kids. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye. I'm done.